Darren Rizzi's locker room speech after the New Orleans Saints win at the New York Giants. This is the first time we've seen into the locker room with Darren Rizzi post a victory. So we did this a few times with Dennis Allen back in the Dennis Allen days. And now we're seeing how Rizzi approaches this. So interesting game, right? Because if you're the Saints, you got to feel kind of, and if you're the Saints players, I mean, you got to feel kind of disappointed. You know, no one really played well. Brian Brzee really was the only person who played well, Juwan Johnson, but besides that, no one else really. A lot of people left a lot on the field. The Saints were lucky to get a win, and were lucky to not lose to the New York Giants, who did virtually nothing, and Drew Lock was horrific until the last two possessions. Took a holding call on a punt return and a missed field goal, or a blocked field goal at the end to get the Saints to victory. You also wonder in situations like this how the locker room feels. Derek Carr went down with an injury. Derek Carr now, this is the day after, but Derek Carr rumored to have fractured his non-throwing hand. So he was being put in concussion protocol. I think he's still in concussion protocol, but he also fractured that hand. So who knows the timeline, or if he's going to return this season, or how that's going to play out. But it looks like it could be Haener time. Could be Haener time for the remainder of the season. And you always wonder how the injuries play out in a locker room. So let's go ahead and listen to what Rizzi has to say. See how he handled the win.
Okay. Who knew on Friday when Brady Dyke was going to come down to that play?
Yeah.
Right? You never know. You never know. That's why when you practice, okay? When you practice, right? And
What the hell is he saying? It sounds like, what is going on here? It sounds like I'm listening to a CD backwards. I remember back in the day, in the late 90s, early 2000s, the big thing was to listen to CDs backwards, and there was always like supposed to be some kind of hidden message or hidden meaning. It's exactly what it sounds like. What the hell was just going on?
okay. Who knew on Friday when Brady Dyke was going to come down to that play?
Yeah.
Right? You never know. You never know. That's why
Is he speaking in hieroglyphics?
when you practice, okay? When you practice, right? And you go
He sounds like how the Sims sound when they're talking. I guess they're editing out curse words. I guess he's letting it rip, and they're editing it out, and it just sounds ridiculous. I know. I mean, it is what it is, but like, come on, guys, like just play it, you know?
Hey, we needed every one of those things in the Swiss Army knife, did we not? Yeah. We needed every single tool in the Swiss Army knife to finish the job.
You know what would have been a great tool to use in the Swiss Army knife, ladies and gentlemen? A good tool that we could have utilized out of that Swiss Army knife? A running game at all. Maybe, like, if we could have just, like, folded out the little pair of scissors, folded out the nail sharpener, and then if we could have folded out maybe, like, I don't know, 3.5 yards of carry, if we could have just kind of folded out maybe the ability to move the football at all, maybe if we would have just kind of flipped open, you know, being able to stop Drew Lock from running around, maybe any of that. Oh, maybe, I don't know, Clint Kubiak, you could have flipped over the Swiss Army knife and opened up the other side and had hey, let's run the football when we're up with 2 minutes left to go and not do naked quarterback bootlegs with Jake Haener. I mean, maybe we should have utilized that in the Swiss Army knife. Like, we made this so much harder than it needed to be. And, I mean, there's a lot of, like, the play calling. Okay, let me explain this. The play calling that I'm frustrated with is not, like, Kubiak continually running the football. I'm okay with continually running the ball. I'm okay with, look, this is how we run our offense. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We should have success. We're not having success, but we believe we can, whatever. I'm fine with running the football. The play calling that I didn't like was at the end of the game, the situational stuff where we're trying to win the game, we're trying to kill the clock, we're trying to do all this, and he's either throwing the ball or he's got naked quarterback bootlegs or he's got Derek Carr, you know, running to the sideline. Like, that's what I didn't like. Okay, well, it wasn't so much the actual sticking to the run, but regardless, we made it way more difficult than it needed to be. I mean, the fact that we came into this game 5-point road favorites, the defensive line for the Giants is, I mean, their defensive line looks like how our offensive line looked earlier in the season. Just practice squad, elevated players, unsigned free agents, whatnot. And the fact that we couldn't, with a reverse situation where our offensive line is finally healthy, and I saw someone say, well, maybe they're rusty. Like, that's not what rust does. Like, rust doesn't, you don't get out there and you're rusty and you're just getting smoked off the ball You know, like that's not really how that works out. If you have some penalties here and there, or you know, you're confused on some assignments, whatever, but they were just getting blown off the ball, and we just could not do anything. I mean, I forgot what the stat was, but it was like 12 negative plays or something. Like, that's crazy. I mean, 12, I think it was 12. Someone double check me in the comments, but 12 negative plays is absolutely insane when you're playing the New York Giants. If you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, whoever you consider the best defense in the NFL, okay, you know, all right. But against the New York Giants, you're going to have 12 negative plays? That seems impossible.
That was bottom line, okay? And now the corkscrew's sticking out. Hey, hey, hell of a job. Listen to me, okay? The defense, hey, defense. Go check out for defense.
I cannot believe they put this video out there. I cannot believe half of the video is, it sounds like people talking about skibbity whatevers, and they're throwing it out there.
Unbelievable job. They had one third or fourth down conversion in the first half. We played great. Hey, they did not control the line of scrimmage. They did not run the football, and that's why.
They ran for 5 yards a carry. Well, I guess Drew Lock did. I guess Drew Lock is the reason they ran for 5 yards a carry. But I mean, yeah, Tyrone Tracy didn't run the football well. Their actual running backs did not run the football well. I will say that. But we certainly didn't control the line of scrimmage. I mean, again, it was mostly, I wouldn't give any credit. I wouldn't give any credit to these defenses. The Giants don't just all of a sudden become a good rush defense. You know, the Saints don't just all of a sudden become a good rush defense. Like, what happened was, it was just two teams that were so inept on offense and made the defenses look good.
We gave ourselves a chance to win. Sir. Okay? Never, ever, 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 okay, ever apologize for winning a game in the NFL. Ever. Okay? And guess what? The team that was leading our division lost again. No.
So this is interesting. I mean, Rizzi, and you know, like, he is a player's coach for sure. So these are the kind of things you have to really pay attention to, is how he pulls these strings. So Rizzi is playing the card of, hey, our season's not over. We can win the division. The Falcons team that's leading the division lost. We won. Who cares about how you won? So he's preaching that we can go win this division. Now, this is a risky move, because I remember Christian Yelich. If you remember Christian Yelich, or if you know Christian Yelich, the baseball player, he was talking about, I think he was in, I can't remember what level of baseball he was talking about. He was talking about a coach who, you know, everyone knew the team was kind of whatever, middle of the road to bad. And he said the coach came out and was like, we're going to win the whole thing. We're going to be undefeated. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And he always talked about how that really kind of made the players think the coach was a clown, because it was almost like he's blowing smoke up your ass, you know. So this can kind of be risky, because if the players don't truly feel this, then it does kind of have that. I think it does run the risk of where it's like, you know, you lose that like touch with the reality. So hopefully the players do feel like, yeah, we can still do this thing. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the car thing. Like, you wonder if the car injury, you wonder if the players are feeling like, even though they won, if they're feeling like, well, I mean, the season's over, it was already a long shot, and now Carr's out. You know, so let's see how the reaction is.
Okay, so again, we show up this week with a purpose and an attitude and a fight and a passion, because you know what? You just never know. And we do one at a time, okay? Double D, we filled that hole up a little bit more today with the shovel, right? A little bit more with the shovel, one scoop at a time. It might not have been exactly the way you drew it up, and it might not have been as pretty as you wanted it to be, but we're leaving New Jersey with a W. Yeah. Right, break it down. Here we go.
All right, so I mean, the message is simple, right? The message is simple. It's, yeah, we didn't play our best, but who cares? It's get a win, and you get a win, and you move on. And it's one day at a time, one step at a time, one game at a time. There's a little bit of Swiss Army knife talk. There's a little bit of shovel talk. But, you know, mostly we see the cards that Rizzi is playing.
All right, Everett, what you got? Speak up.
What you got, bro? It's all you, bro.
Where's his ends?
I don't got much, man. We got to get back to work on Wednesday. Big game next week. Go 1-0, man. That's it. Let's go. 6-3. 1, 2, 3.
There you go. Go 1-0. I mean, hey, Go 1-0. It is what it is. We will be covering this throughout the week. Interesting to see. It's always interesting to see like how, because this part of the job for a coach, managing that locker room, speaking in defeat and speaking in victory, those things are very important. And you have coaches like Mike Tomlin who have made a career, a very good career, Hall of Fame career, over being able to own and dominate this part of coaching. You can question Tomlin's X's and O's, you can question all that stuff, but you cannot question his man management. You cannot question how he motivates his team. So if Rizzi has a shot at being the next Saints head coach, which after this game I'm a little lukewarm on, if Rizzi has a shot, he has to dominate this part of the job. He has to dominate getting his guys motivated, keeping them 1 foot in front of the other, 1 week in front of the other. He's going to have to win a big game, and he's got 3 big games left: Washington, Green Bay, and the Buccaneers at the end of the season. So he's right. It is a 1-0 kind of deal. Go 1-0, win the next game. We'll see. We'll see what happens with Carr. I mean, if it's a fractured hand, I would assume he's going to be out for the year. I mean, if you fracture your hand and you have a concussion, hard to imagine Carr plays, but I'm not a doctor. So we'll see, and we'll wait to see what happens there. If it's Jake Haener versus Jaden Daniels, that'll be a bad day to be a Bloody Mary, I'll tell you that much. All right, what'd you think? What'd you think about Rizzi's speech? What do you think about Rizzi as a coach? Do you think the locker room believes him? Do you think the locker room believes that this team can win the division, or do you think the locker room believes the season's over? Let me know. Comments below. I'll see you in the next video.